Joe, what do you call a fish with no eyes?
What?
A fish! Okay, let's try this. Joe, what do you call a can opener that doesn't work?
What?
A can't opener. Hey, this is Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And this is Carnival Personnel. And you got about an hour and 15 minutes of that coming up.
Maybe if I keep sighing, we won't have to do the podcast.
These poor people, you're the poor person. A, you're a poor person. Secondly, these people can turn it off. You're stuck here the next hour and 15 minutes.
And I live here.
But Joe, it is now Christmas in August.
What do you mean?
Last week, I told you when we went to the Fan Expo in Boston, I got a gift for you. This briefcase is my gift. You can tell people about my briefcase.
It's all Star Trek all the time. It's a black suitcase, kind of not unlike, it's upside down, not unlike the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, but it's covered with decals of Star Trek locales. Original series Star Trek, of course. There was a Spock silhouette on one side. And oh my God, I was thinking about this book the other day. I saw a video
Were you
on
really?
it. Yes, I saw a video on this and I go, yeah, that's a pretty cool fucking book.
There you go.
And
Merry Christmas in August.
Oh, thank you. The book I'm talking about is Art of Atari. It's by a guy named Tim Lapatino, and it's a coffee table book that's probably, 200 pages or something like that? Or,
It's heavy as hell.
yeah, it's like 3/4 of the size of the NES book that we referenced by Pat Contry. But this is a big, hefty coffee table book. It's like 10 by 12 pages, and it's all like the Atari, not the fucking video game artwork, because that's not artwork. That was whatever. That's that's a whole other topic. But we're talking about when you actually picked up a box and looked at the magnificence of what like Defender was supposed to look like in their imagination. You know, in your mind's eye, this is what that blue blob on the screen is supposed to represent. Pac-Man is supposed to look like this. Galaga, whatever, is supposed to look like that.
Yeah, they look like epic screen grabs from 1960 sci-fi movies and stuff.
I'll give you these though. These are the wristbands from the Fan Expo that you didn't use, but this is great. Look at this. It's got and it goes really in depth on not just the artwork, but like the author or the artists. Yeah, and it's fucking rad, and I will treasure this for at least the next hour. Thank you so much. No, but this is great. Thank you. And this is not cheap either. It's like something that,
You are worth it.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Now
I'm not going to hit you up for that $50 you owe me.
$50? Wouldn't I owe you $40? I mean, I don't remember you giving me $30. $20? That's outrageous. Hey, I got that 10. Oh, yeah.
Can I borrow 10?
Get yourself a nice Irish girl instead. Inside. Anyways, saw Teen Titans Go. And in a week of flipping and people who flip, and maybe flipping should be illegal, I've kind of flipped on my opinion on Teen Titans Go.
Welcome aboard.
Like I said, a few years ago when it came out and the boys started watching it, it's like, first of all, it's not my Teen Titans. They're nasty to each other. They're especially nasty to Robin. But on one hand, it got them into the Titans, and we went cross country a couple years ago, and I had all the original Titan videos. So I was like, well, if you're into Titans, you're like this. But anyways, wasn't really the biggest fan of Teen Titans Go. The movie is fucking awesome.
You couldn't have waited until I stopped chewing?
No. Will Arnett, executive producer. He's the voice of Deathstroke, Wade Wilson.
Yep. I mean, obviously Lego Batman, but that's kind of... they're both DC, so yeah.
A lot of... And look, there's nobody listening to this who's running out to see it, so I'm not going to give like a whole spoiled thing, but I'm going to tell a couple of things. A lot of fourth wall jokes, obviously. A lot of Marvel crossover stuff, and then people realizing, oh, they're Marvel people in DC, and it wasn't like, I'm trying to think the right way to put it. It was like, why would we do a DC movie? We got to get out of here. Like DC shit on themselves.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like they knew that Marvel was too good for a movie based on a DC property, but you're not the only one that suggested I see this movie. Guy that my wife works with at the college that she works at said that I must go see it because he and I bonded over the '66 Batman. Like, he's about your age and he grew up watching the reruns of it. And for Christmas one year, I gave him like a burned copy of like all of the original Batman DVDs.
You
and
gave
like
me the same thing.
Right. That's right. I forgot about you, as I typically do every week. But he liked that. So he was like, yeah, Joe should go see this because it's like, right up the old nerd parody fourth wall alley. So I know I probably will, but I'm saving my money to see Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary, because I want to cry alone.
Outside of the house.
Right.
Okay.
Somewhere, I want to cry out alone in public.
And they, you saw all the commercials and the funny scene where they first meet, like, Deathstroke, and his name is Slade Wilson, and they're like, oh, you're a ripoff of Deadpool. That's you're Wade Wilson. It's like, no, it's a completely different guy. And I came out first. No, the two guns, the two swords. A lot of people have guns. Mm-hmm. And it's, like I said, it's like, I knew he did the voice of it, but when the credits rolled, it was really great. Mm-hmm. The very last line of the movie is the best, which killed the audience. Absolutely, killed the audience. And spoiler, in the credits, it looked like the film was breaking up. And then you hear the voice of Robin from the original Teen Titans. It's like, I think we found our way back. And it went into like a real promo. And they're using it to launch the fact that they're bringing back the original Titans.
Animated Teen Titans, yeah.
So could not be more excited about that.
Wow. I can't believe that you weren't arrested for indecent exposure from the boner you were popping in the theater.
I think it was pretty decent. Decent exposure. I can't believe how much I flipped on liking Teen Titans Go now. It was fantastic.
Good for you. I'm glad that you're not like one of these haters, man, who's like, that's not what that's not what hyperspace looks like. Those yeah, like it's good. It's good that you're changing, you're evolving. Wait a minute. Am I congratulating you on now appreciating a cartoon meant for a demographic
small children,
30 years, maybe 40 years, your junior? Oh my God.
We're going to talk a little bit more about movies. So management had a friend stay over like the other day on Sunday. So, cause we were all getting up super early to go to Six Flags for the day, and watched one of the most awfulsome movies I've ever seen called Shark Lake, starring one Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. Right. If he dies, he dies. If he bites, he bites. What's the tagline for Shark Lake?
I will break you. No. So the story is it's a man-made lake, like somewhere in like Minnesota, and
where there are tons of natural lakes.
And it turns out like 5 years earlier, some poacher guy who steals endangered animals like put a shark in the lake, and now it's grown. And
aren't there literally 1,000 lakes in Minnesota?
I think it's the state like saying it's like 10,000 lakes.
That's right. Okay, 10,000. Yeah.
So it's a huge lake.
Yeah.
This one lake in the movie,
but they had to make it.
But
by
it's a
man.
freshwater lake, and it's like these sharks should die instantly, like within I don't know how long. I'm not a shark expert. But
most
I know.
Lakes are freshwater,
especially the ones 1,000 miles inland. And somehow this shark has survived, and the scientists are trying to figure it. Dude, the movie was okay. It was a low budget movie, so you get.
Go on.
Like I'm thinking probably Dolph Lundgren.
Wait, Sci-Fi said pass.
It might have been on a sci-fi thing at one point. I don't know, but yeah, it's it didn't have the overwhelming budget Sharknado did,
which just had its 6th movie on Sci-Fi Network. I don't have Sci-Fi on my cable package, so I don't get to see it first run. But I know that I think the last Sharknado 6 was supposedly the final Sharknado. Like that's it. So Shark Lake can now step into the void that Sharknado 6 is leaving behind.
One of the Sharknadoes, management and the boys have seen a couple of them, but one of them, they were flying from, let's say, L.A. to New York and got caught and a Sharknado tornado, and which
Well, that's what a Sharknado is.
well, but it became Snakes on the Plane meets Sharknado.
Yeah, I think that was 2.
All of a sudden, the sharks are on an airplane in the air, chomping at people. But the CGI, like, I'm guessing that 50% of the budget went to Lundgren, and it's in every line was predictable. You could see, you were just waiting for the old black sheriff to say, "I'm getting too old for this shit," There was a couple funny little bits. But the CGI was just so bad. When you see like a real big movie and they have a deleted scene and they had rough renderings of like a big CGI fight between, let's say Thanos is fighting like the Hulk, and it's rudimentary. See, that's basically what this
It's like,
was.
yeah, the beta version of what the final Marvel version would look like. Right. Like PS3 graphics in a PS4 world.
Thank you.
Or maybe PS2 graphics.
Well, no, but more PS2. Yeah.
Oh, gee.
And but it was fun, but it was awful. So it was one of those things. It's like we're about 15, 20 minutes in. We're like, do we want to keep watching this or watch something else? Like, no, we're all in on this one.
Do you know about that popular podcast, How Did This Get Made, with Paul Scheer, and they talk about movies? Like, this is not even, I don't know if this is good enough. Maybe it is good enough for How Did This Get Made, but that question pops into your mind when you talk about the production value and the CGI, and Dolph Lundgren, I guess, did he produce this as well?
He did produce it as
right.
well.
So, yeah, it's just like, how did it get made? What were the steps in which green light after green light after? Were there any yellow lights? Were there any red lights?
Well, honestly, the movie that I did a couple summers ago, it's when you see it, when it finally comes out, that was a $2 million movie. It's the same thing. Like 50% of the movie went to the top 3 actors who have names, like Cam Cadet and stuff like that, and Callum Worth. And there was a couple of good stunts, but like I've seen it, and there's like a couple shots where I'm like, yeah.
But you're wondering, it's just, I guess you know more about the movie making industry than I do. It's just like, is it just part of the machine? Like, okay, they have a nut that they have to make every year in order to stay afloat as a production company, and they get these scripts, and they just they get money from several sources, and then in the hopes, like, we're going to throw spaghetti at the wall, and if it sticks, it sticks. If it dies, it dies.
Okay, so the barrier to entry has come way down on this stuff, and there, generally speaking, are two kinds of movies that are made now. There's the under $5 million that are made primarily to go to streaming services. It used to say straight to video type.
It's
thing.
just that there's a venue that needs content.
Think about it: Hulu, Amazon Prime, and because we saw this was an Amazon Prime movie. That we watched.
Yeah, like Netflix. You can, if you scroll down far enough, you'll see bottom of the barrel, like bargain bin DVD quality movies.
But it's also, sometimes you see these things pop up at Redbox if they get the right distribution. The funny thing is, like there are some actors that just do really well overseas, and they might get a theatrical release in, like, seriously, like Turkey or Spain or Greece or something. So the movie model has gone to, you got to make the $100 to $200 million movies. Like at the AMC down the street, there's 14 screens. There's like only 5 or 6 movies in there at one time because they're playing 2 or 3 theaters or 2 or 3 screens. But 90% of the movies at the AMCs and the big chains are the $100 million, you have to go see this in the movie theater type experience. You need the big sound and the big... And so you have those movies, or then you have the under 5. Like the middle of the road, the $25 million
Much like the middle
ones,
class, they've been ignored.
There's not as big a market for it. Like it's...
Well, you have like Lifetime movies and movies of the week, like Hallmark. They put a Hallmark movie channel.
I have a buddy who he does 4 or 5 of those a year.
I saw a promo that said, or an article that said Hallmark movie channel was going to produce 35 Christmas movies this year, like in the year.
So I have one buddy, and this is all he does: Lifetime movies. Lifetime does 150 made for Lifetime movies a year. And it sounds like a lot, and it is. But that's like 300 hours of content. You take the networks like CBS, NBC, like their prime time, they're producing content from like 8 to 11 every night. So they're producing, 3 hours a night,
It's
5
21
nights a
hours,
week. Right.
24 hours.
And Lifetime doesn't have sitcoms. They
Or
don't
live-
have,
they don't
have
have live.
the reality shows.
Yeah.
They don't have. So you take or like
Sports or anything.
right. So this is their content, and they structure it, and they have an algorithm like anything else. It's like you need a one Lifetime star, and a Lifetime star is a second tier character off an 80s sitcom.
Oh God, yeah. And my wife watches Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, which is the offshoot of Hallmark Movie Channel, and Lori Loughlin, who played the aunt Becky on Full House. She's has something called the Garage Sale Mysteries. Holly Robinson Pete has a new thing,
Right.
and it's all these mystery stories that are it's basically Murder She Wrote, but instead of her being the main character being an author, they run some sort of like kind of hobby store, or they do something that like appeals to a certain demographic of people. I'm not going to say which gender, but they
And 10% of the other.
it's more like 20 now. It's just funny that but you're right. They have like there was a girl who played like the brother of Corky from Life Goes On. Kelly Martin has her own series of.
That's a star. And so if you get one of those, and they're doing these for around 300,000 to 400,000.
Yes.
And what ends up happening is Lifetime, they don't pay you up front to do it, but they greenlight and say, okay, we approve this script, we approve this. They don't approve the actors all the way down. Just we want to know who the 2 or 3 quote unquote bankable in their world, and they give you 150 to 200,000 upon delivering it, and they'll take the U.S. rights for a year. And then you can sell it back to them, or you can sell it then to a Netflix or an Amazon. But you can also sell it to other territories. So most of the people who I know, and like I said, I have one buddy who does this, who I'm really close with, and I have another friend, the guy who directed the movie that I did. Doing a $2 million movie was huge in his world because he does 3 or 4 or 5 of these $300,000 to $400,000 movies a year, and it's the same thing. And so you'll break even year one on this movie, and then the next year, you'll sell it back to Lifetime if they want to do a second year running of it. For half the money. Over the life of these $300,000 to $400,000 ones, you'll make $250,000 to $1 million over like a shelf life of 5 years on it. So it's a volume thing. So same thing. The Shark Lake was a little more than that probably. This is probably a $2 million budget. But the reason I wanted to talk about this, and I got off track. So we're driving to Six Flags the next morning.
Six Flags. That's right. We were going to Six Flags.
We're driving the next morning to Six Flags, and we management, her friend, the boys in the car, and we fell down the Dolph Lundgren rabbit hole. Wow.
I think I know what you're talking about. Kindergarten Cop 2?
We start reading about the guy.
Oh, like his actual
Holy
oeuvre.
shit.
Or just like his Wikipedia entry.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So
I can
I couldn't. Maybe you could imagine. You have a more vivid imagination. He has a couple doctorate degrees in like quantum physics or something crazy
wow,
like that.
yeah.
He was on a scholarship at MIT when his then girlfriend Grace Slick said, "No, you should come to New York and be an actor." And his first acting role was acting. I think he was her bodyguard in View to a Kill. Like, he drops out of MIT because Grace Slick says, "Yeah, I want you to come do movies with me."
Which is the right move if you're dating Grace Slick.
Hell yes. And seriously, it's one of those things that's like, look, Ashton Kutcher, same thing. He got an offer to like an NCAA, Division I wrestling scholarships from several schools. He was like, one of these just phenom, like, high school wrestlers. Is he from Nebraska?
Probably.
Somewhere like
Midwest
that.
guy, yeah.
And honestly, his ticket to go to any school anywhere. He ended up going to another school because the same thing. It's like, I forget what degree he has in like chemical engineering or something like that, where, so when he always plays the same character, but he's really a brilliant guy who, was a phenomenal athlete, but chose to go the academic route.
It's kind of like that episode of Star Trek where the civilized Kirk had to play the barbarian, and then at the end, he divulges how the barbarian could never play the civilized person, and that's sort of like what Ashton Kutcher does. Like he can play dumb because he ain't dumb. Unlike Tony Danza, who, no,
it's funny because I remember one time it's like, my cousin, the actor Jimmy, who, he was doing a skit with the Growlings and he was really a bad dancer. And like, management had said, only somebody who's been professionally trained, who's an amazing dancer, could dance that bad. Like in the skit. Then he progressively got better.
Well, it's like when Gene Stapleton from All in the Family, like she sang, "And you knew where you were."
Yes, she
was an opera trained singer. Like she could really sing. But back to where Ashton Kutcher was born, Iowa.
So it is. It's one of those amazing things when you find out that Dolph Lundgren, because he's known for "I'll break you."
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
That's it. Never competed as a bodybuilder. But people mistakenly because
there's no competition. That's why.
Oh my God, I love you. Like literally, seriously, Joseph, love
God,
you. But yeah, and then you find out it's like, okay, so of course he speaks Swedish and English, but then it's like German and French, of course, because most of the people in that region, and then like Japanese and a couple other languages.
One of the harder languages to pick up as an adult.
Right. It's not like, okay, the Romance languages all based off roots of Latin. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you can pick French and English or
Spanish.
Spanish and Italian.
Portuguese.
Different, but in the same thing. Yes. Shout out to Portugal.
The one shout out to Portugal I'll ever give on Carnival Personality.
But yeah, we start reading this and like, holy shit. And then, like, how old do you think the dude is?
I'm going to wager that if he was in his 20s and 85 when that came out, I'm going to say he's like mid-50s.
He's 61.
Whoa.
And seriously, in this movie, he's still jacked up, still looks great,
Yeah.
But it's funny, it's like we start like reading that, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like he's amazing.
Speaking of Ashton Kutcher, 20th anniversary of a certain 70s show. Call that 70s show.
Dude,
wow.
it's crazy to think about.
20 years ago.
So I remember, Danny, my friend Danny Masterson was doing.
Oh my God, my floor!
Stop it!
My poor floor!
I just dropped the name. But Danny was doing Sybil. He did the last 2 seasons of that. And
Sybil Shepherd sitcom.
Yeah, and it was funny because that show wrapped the last episode, and it was like 3 days later in hockey. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going in. I'm doing a pilot for this show." And at the time, it was called "The Kids Are All Right." Dude, that was so much fun. It's like honestly, like when management first got out there, they were in like season 2 or season 3, and every single Friday for the entire time we were out there, we were at every taping. It was way too much fun because we got to meet, like, it was always stunt casting of, Marion Ross and stuff like that, and Mary Tyler Moore and all these.
I remember all
stars.
the tapings I was invited to when I was living out there. Oh wait,
was the show going when you were out there?
Yes.
Then why didn't you go?
I think because I had that's right. I was having my first child.
Yeah, see?
Priorities. Dummy.
Fuck that.
Yeah,
exactly.
What was I, stupid or something? But anyways.
So, no, no, I can't believe it's been 20 years. It's like that's...
And it's like, I listened to Mila Kunis. First of all, I'd heard her being interviewed by Howard Stern a couple of years ago. Fascinating. But then I heard her again on What the Fuck, the WTF podcast with Mark Maron. They went over a couple of the same things that I heard in the Stern interview, but she's like a fascinating, like really smart, like got her shit together, like admirable person. Like somebody like that I would like to be when I grow up.
She's always been really smart. In the first couple seasons, so like they shot at the Radford lot in Studio City, California, and the dressing rooms, were like, it almost looked like 2-floor bungalows. Everybody's room was on the second floor except hers on the first floor, and she had to have her chaperone. She couldn't go upstairs and hang out with the rest of the crew.
She was like 14 or something.
She was 14, 15.
And she faked her age or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they thought she was 16, 17.
Yeah. She's had the same manager since. Like her manager today is the same manager she had 20 years ago. And apparently, like, this female manager did a very good job of shielding her from that Me Too kind of bullshit. whenever she would see like an inkling of something like that happening, where somebody creepy would kind of move in a little bit too close to Mila, she'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here, and don't you ever fucking come back!" Like that kind of level.
The
of
set
protection.
was everybody on the set was really close, and they literally like looked out for her, But and the first few years, they would all party. She was never there for all the partying. But as you know, if you go to YouTube and you put it in the Crease TV, Ashton.
Wait,
and Mila,
whoa. Before I have to edit anything out of this, are certain things?
Yes, I took it out.
Thank you.
I didn't. I thought you might have checked, but I did that day I went home.
Okay.
Yes, there are certain skits that, in retrospect, that Joe, you're a little more squeamish on our riskier material. Mm-hmm. Don't blame you. None of it in good taste.
Nope. And I'm looking out for you too, because there's another certain sketch up there that maybe you want to take down. There's something that has to do with
an aerosol spray.
Yes.
Nope. It stays. I'm good with it.
The entire thing.
Entire thing.
Even with the
oh yeah. No, that's comedy.
Oh right.
It's like, just because I'm not a Jew doesn't mean I can't make fun of the Nazis
and wear a swastika.
And a parody, like if you got cast in a movie and you had to play a Nazi, would you say no, I can't do it because?
Dude, I had to. I drew the literal, not the swastika that the armband that you wore, and I can't believe I'm talking about this. I felt like sick doing it. Like I had like MS Paint. It was like the shittiest, thing. It's just a fucking. It's not.
Well, how much did we have for the budget?
Exactly. But I drew it, and as I'm drawing, I'm like, am I doing this? Like, am I gonna get arrested by Germany? By
but it's
doing
an
this?
awful product, making fun of awful people, and so that's why it's in context. It's funny.
I get it.
I
get it.
I think it's funny.
Right.
We
live in this mixed company world.
We should. But that's the thing. It's like, are you going to go back and like I said, like re-edit Back to the Future because he's peeping into his mom, his dad's peeping, or his mom's trying to make out with him. I mean, do you re-edit
into the nerds? Yeah, right.
I mean, right. There's a lot of awful stuff. I was part of, doing awful, but like comedy gets dated,
I know.
And it's like one of those things where, anyways, but Joe and I did a comedy show called In the Crease TV, and there's a lot of skits up there. I've been asking for 2 years if you can,
get around to dubbing them, to digitizing them.
But there is. We did one episode, and a bunch of the guys from That 70s Show did promos for us. And one of the fun promos is Mila sitting on Ashton's lap, talking about how great the show is, and you should watch it. And then Ashton moves Mila a little to the side, and he pokes her head around and said, "I don't think the show's that good at all, but Jacques said Mila would sit on my lap if I did a promo."
Right. And then like Mila looks like really surprised.
She was. She had no idea. That wasn't the line.
That was 98, 99. That was second season of That 70s Show. So she was, like they were both like kids. I mean, Ashton's my age. He's 40. So yeah, Mila is what, young, like 36 or something now, 30, whatever. Yeah, she was a young kid, and I don't know. It's just, it's odd. Yeah, it's weird. And I don't know. We're kind of rambling here because what I'm trying to do, folks, is stall Jacques from talking about Another Christmas in August, which was, of course, the Michael Cohen story and the Paul Manafort story.
Okay, we'll get into that.
Because we're about 28 minutes in.
Okay, I'll just finish off because it's on the list. Six Flags is such a dump.
Oh right, what about Six Flags?
Such a dump, dude. It smells like garbage.
It's funny. I was thinking about this book that you gave me, and then you gave me the book. A couple of days ago, I was thinking, wow, I've never been to like Six Flags before, and Jacques probably been there like 1,000 times, not knowing you've gone, and then lo and behold, you go this week.
No, well, I'm a snob because we've been to theme parks around the world.
Well, yeah, you've been to Disneyland and Disney and Universal Studios every day for years.
Seriously, and you can't if that's your starting point, everything's a step down. Now, it's funny because most people who go there, it's the greatest day of their life, and it is. It's amazing. Some of the rides they have there, unlike Disney and Universal, they have some cool rides, but nothing like Six Flags. Their new ride, like if you look it up, the Harley Quinn, I have anxiety just looking at it. It's just absolutely amazing work of engineering.
Yep. Probably German.
but it is. It was a fun day, and the boys like it.
It's not holding up well.
It just doesn't have, like I said, it's like when you are at a ride at Disney or Universal, once you enter like the staging area, it transports you to that world, whether it's, Despicable Me, or whether you are immersed in the world, like sound, sight, like once the door shuts behind you, you walk into that realm, and there's no, you can't, 360, degree around, up, down, you are immersed in the world. It's like you can see around the backdrop. You know what I mean? You can see.
There's a guy smoking in the corner.
Yeah, you can see the boom mic in every shot, so to speak. So the boys like it, and management's friend really liked it because she hadn't been there in like 20 years. It's cheap.
Isn't it? And it's all Warner Brothers property.
It is. So that's fun.
Again, DC getting the short end of the stick.
True. And because they were late to the dance with that, Well, they actually were partnered with Six Flags long before Marvel partnered with Disney, but it's Disney.
Yeah, right. When Disney partners with something, it gets partnered. Yeah.
But it was fun. Okay, enough fun talk. Now, it's not awful this week. It's been a pretty good week.
It's pretty up.
Now they decided, okay, we made all these mistakes. Hillary's president. Everything's moving in the right direction, right? No. But good stuff did happen.
Good stuff did happen. Michael Cohen basically implicated the president in a federal crime.
In open court, no bones about it, no hesitation in answering the questions, flat out.
You broke my heart, Michael.
and there's Michael yelling, "I'm smart."
It's not like everybody says.
Everybody says. When everybody says,
right?
Everybody's
saying how smart Michael Cohen is.
And that my favorite part about it is when they play back to back, just like 4 or 5 months ago. He's a great guy. He's a great lawyer. And let's backtrack even a little bit. I only hire the best people. How many of these best people are now in jail?
Everything he says is a lie. Everything. I don't even know. And his name is a lie. His name, if you listen to the John Oliver thing when he was running for president, and they discovered that his name was actually, his family name is Drumpf.
Right.
Drumph or whatever the hell. So like everything about literally his hair, his skin tone, his words, his name, his probable assets, all of it. It's all
lies.
fucking lie. But it's just, and people are buying it. Like he is P.T. Barnum running the country.
And the thing is, he brags about being P.T. Barnum. Look, when somebody tells you who they are over and over, sooner or later you have to believe them. Like, he's made no bones about being a carnival barker forever. It's all been smoke and mirrors, all bragging about, making money when he goes bankrupt. It's like, yeah, I go bankrupt all the time, but I make money, and other people lose money, but I make money because I'm smarter than they are.
Right. And that's why, that's how, taking that huge loss 30 years ago, I don't have to pay taxes for 30 years, and that makes me smart.
Right. And
was it 30 years?
It was. Yeah. It was something.
Yeah.
But so Michael Cohen completely, pled guilty to 6. Like, he was charged with 20 things.
Was it 8 counts?
And he charged. No, that's Manafort. That's Manafort. But Cohen, and so here's the great thing. So in the morning on Tuesday, Cohen or Manafort's verdicts come in, and he was charged with 18 counts. 8 of them he was found guilty. 10 of them it was a mistrial on. Now, the jury foreman did something that judges do not want you to do, that tell you not to do, and you're not supposed to do.
Under the line that said, "Do not write below this line," the foreman wrote, "Okay."
Wrote flat out that in all 10 charges, it was 11-1. And the reason they don't want you to know what the count is, they don't want the prosecutors to say, "Oh, we're going to retry him on these," because he wasn't found.
It wasn't a unanimous.
He wasn't found innocent. Oh. He wasn't acquitted of those. It was a hung jury.
Right.
Which means they have now the prosecutors can say, okay, we got 8 guilty things on this. We can go back and retry those 10. At the same time, the defense people can make the decision. It's like, if it was 7-5 or 6-6 or in their favor, they can say, look, we want we want to appeal these 8 verdicts, blah, 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 or they can appeal it. But the way it came out by that jury foreman putting that out there publicly, now the prosecutors can say, okay, we were on the right track. It was one bad egg, because the other 11 people, and now a couple of them have even gone on the MSNBCs. And there was one woman today who was like an unapologetic Trump supporter. She still supports Trump. She disconnects between anything to do with Russia and this, or Trump and this. And she says, look, I looked at just the cases, and this is everything he did. They said they did. He did. And I'm disappointed that the president would hire somebody, but I don't think it's his fault. It's a Trump supporter, but she flat out said, yes, he did it. 11 of us in the room for 4 days were like, you're a moron. Like, this is evident. I know you like Trump, but it's overwhelming, she was saying. So he was found. So 8 of the 10 or 8 of the 18, he was found guilty on. The other 10, now the prosecutors can say, we want to retry him, and they have pretty good grounds to do it. On the other hand, now the defense people might be able to say, or are more likely to say, we better cut a deal. We got found guilty on these. They were pretty damn close to finding guilty on everything. We better cut a case. But before that happens, the New York case, is going to start within the next, I think, a month. But hours after that came out, or was it hours or an hour?
Who knows? An hour is like a day now.
And then it's true, but it wasn't like it was teased in the news. Nobody knew that Michael Cohen was going to show up in court on Tuesday and plead guilty to all these things. He cut a deal. He flipped. And
he knows how to make deals, that guy.
He really does. And the thing is, we're all becoming lawyers. We know too much about this.
And since anybody can become president, maybe anybody can become a lawyer too in the future.
Anybody but this guy, Nick from Hockey, and everybody who's listening to After H is now laughing. Although Nick thinks he is a lawyer. But the interesting thing is Cohen can't, or nobody can just go in and say, I'm guilty. The prosecutor still has to meet the burden of proof. And they have to be able to go to the judge and say, this is the overwhelming evidence. His counsel saw the evidence. He saw the evidence. He knows the evidence. He's given us the phone calls and all this stuff.
Unless you're a black guy who signs a confession.
Well, yeah, a small kid in a room without any
representation
and being scared shitless and not being fed for 12 hours.
Yeah, that you don't need to meet any burden of proof.
Right, but, we digress. But, so Cohen and the prosecutors they couldn't just make a deal, and he's going to do jail time. He doesn't get out of not doing jail time. The difference is he's facing up to 5 years versus facing up to 50 years or whatever. And,
but these are federal charges.
These are federal charges.
Which the president can.
But he won't now because now he implicated him in this. And the president has not flat out said, but he went on Fox and Friends, a couple days ago and floated out the pardon for Manafort because he's a good guy. He hasn't. And now he's openly talking like a crime boss, saying, I know what flipping is. I've been, 30 years of doing this. Like, people that cut a better deal to give them a bigger fish, so they'll flip on this stuff. And I don't think flipping should be legal.
I like how you say like a crime boss.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah, and that's the truth. And what actually I learned this week that truth isn't truth, right? Isn't that what we learned today, boys and girls?
We did
or last week, boys and girls.
So here's what I love. is out of all this, my favorite soundbite of the week. Here's Rudy Giuliani sitting in a golf cart at the Trump Hotel
golf course
in Scotland,
yep,
wearing a Trump hat, for the branded hat from the golf course and a branded jacket, talking about like how impartial he is and that this and this, and it's like
he's like Mayor Quimby. Like,
he really is.
Where he wears like the fur coat that has like the tag on it. When people are asking him like where all that extra money came from.
And it's just hilarious. And the foreign press is they don't hold back, and they're like, does this mean is this more likely that he's going to get indicted or he's going to be impeached? It's like, that's crazy talk. He's done nothing wrong, which he has been given an A+ for his administration, an A++.
Wow, by the Better Business Bureau?
No, by himself.
Oh, okay.
Again, on Fox and Friends, flat out.
I'd give myself an A+.
He did. And like, if I got impeached, the economy, you'd see numbers that you can't even imagine, and it'd be awful, and everybody be poor. Like, he flat out said, if I say like one more time, punch me in the face.
Uh-huh.
Please. But so Manafort hasn't flipped on him yet, but has been convicted on a bunch of charges.
Don't forget Manafort's tied with Putin.
Oh,
There's so many little, like, it's kind of like he has the, should I flip? And,
well, the talk is, he can't flip, because if he flips on Bloatus, he's flipping on these oligarchs.
Yes.
And he's more worried about flipping on the oligarchs.
Yeah, because he will die.
He will die. So he's between a rock and a hard place, and fuck him harder.
Right.
Good. So Cohen, Manafort, and then what is the guy's name?
Pecker.
Yeah, Et2 Esquire, Et2 Pecker. First of all, the guy's name is Pecker.
What is his title?
He's CEO of the conglomerate that owns Esquire, Enquirer magazine.
Okay.
And for decades, he's been a Trump
proponent, supporter.
However you say it, like, they're buddies, and it's like Trump breaks up with somebody, and that person gets smeared all over the news and all this, and it's awesome on the news yesterday. Well, we're talking about it because he had just made a plea deal, so he's got immunity, and you don't just give immunity unless there's a reason to get immunity. So he is giving dirt on his 40-year pal to get out of jail time himself, and they did a great montage of the Enquirer magazine, or Enquirer magazine's covers the last 6 months of the election, and every single one had the aged Hillary, like, honestly 50 years, and either added 100 pounds to her or took 100 pounds out. And it's like, Hillary caught up in a lesbian sex ring, and Bill dying of this, and by the way, Trump is the greatest person ever. There was for 6 months, but anyways, just in the last 24 hours it came out.
Have you seen the MSNBC screen grab of the story of Pecker?
No.
I think it's real.
No, what it is, before you show me, because a couple people, like the New York Daily News has done this. It's like the Enquirer came out today, and there's no story about Trump or about Pecker, flipping, which is the most Enquirer type story, because allegedly there was a safe that he kept all these stories in for, like the Playboy model. They bought her story for $150,000, and that's part of Michael Cohen.
And they buried it.
It's a catch and kill type thing.
Yeah.
But all those stories and those NDAs for buying those stories on Trump and other people have been kept in this guy's safe.
Oh no, this is a chyron on MSNBC. Read it out loud.
Trump worried about Pecker leaking. I hope that's real. I so hope that's real. It's hard not to have a junior high take on this when the guy's name is Pecker. You run an empire built on destroying and mocking people. Mm-hmm. You'd think it would change his name.
Let me double check. Real quick on Snopes. I'm pulling up whether that's real or not, and it's false. Damn it.
Oh, damn. But
great line.
So also, in the past 24 hours, the CEO of the Trump, whatever it is, the executor of the Trump Family Fund, or
the
Trump
trustee or something,
right? He's got immunity too.
Oh,
so the walls are closing in, and so as we record this on a Friday, I think it was Wednesday night at like 1:30 in the morning, all capital letters, no collusion, witch hunt.
It was like 1:15 in the morning, right? Yeah.
Completely stable person,
stable genius,
stable, and innocent. Those are the rantings of a completely innocent man.
Innocent, virile, young-looking,
dude,
thin.
So
175 pound. What was his weight? 200 or something like that? Or something.
He was like technically 1 pound away from being obese,
right?
And we know it's like, okay, were both feet on the scale when he weighed in here. That was the other meme a couple weeks ago with all the white supremacists out there with the side-by-side thing. There was a great picture of him leaning over, getting his golf ball like out of a ditch next to LeBron flipping the tire. It's like, just to be clear, the white supremacists think this guy is
genetically superior.
Oh man. But yeah, it's been a interesting week for this side. I mean, still.
Yeah, I think in 2020, he's going to get reelected.
He's either in jail or reelected.
He's going to get reelected. Because there are just too. It's overwhelmingly obvious how stupid and corrupt this country is, as far as elections go, as far as who the electorate is.
So the House. So Michael Cohen flips and testifies. Manafort gets convicted.
They'll forget about that in 3 months.
Pecker,
Who's Pecker?
Pecker, the CEO of the Trump Foundation. And today they've had enough. And I'm not kidding. The Senate Judiciary Committee, I can't say that word right, apologize.
Judiciary
Committee had a hearing today.
Oh, about Donald Trump?
Hillary's emails.
Oh, right.
And I wish, and I said this 3 weeks ago, and it sounds like I'm joking. No, if you look up the meeting minutes of what they did today, they had a meeting on Hillary's email. All these things have come out. Cohen flat out said this. And of course, Blotus goes off on Sessions on TV, national TV, saying he would have never given it to him. What kind of man would recuse himself? He's blaming Sessions 100% for this. And he forgets, in Sessions' confirmation hearing, he was asked, like, you got these ties to Russia that you said you didn't have. If there's an investigation, would you recuse himself? And he said, yes. So when Blotus says, if I knew he was going to recuse himself, dude, it was in the hearings. Did you not? No one told you about these hearings that they had on the Senate? I mean, do you not get C-SPAN?
I wasn't listening to the hearings.
But so it's interesting. But again, this week, the White House killed a bill to fund election
reform?
No, not election reform. Safety procedures.
Okay.
Like they're not funding. They know they're being hacked. Yeah. They know. And again, all these indictments and all this, the only person in jail.
Hey, a win's a win.
The only person in jail is Reality Winner for putting it out there a year ago. They got into the voting machines. Everybody's telling you they didn't. And a year later, we found out, yes, in 21 states, they tried to get in the voting machines. They got into 7 or 8. And here's Reality Winner, the only person in jail. She's been in jail for about 6 months. She got sentenced to 5 years this year for being a whistleblower, for telling us, yes, they got into the machines. But anyways, but is it funny? Last week when we did the show, it was all about Omarosa, or a lot about her. She's already cycled out of the news. That's so... Doesn't it seem like months ago?
And so all these other stories that we've talked about this week. Can you remember 3 months ago? Do you know the month 3 months ago?
No. Let me see. It's 2008.
Right, carry the 2.
No, but seriously, she was on everything last week, and all the bombshells about him using the N-word, and there's going to be more tapes, and she leaked out all the phone calls, and she has 200 more to leak out. Like, completely off the...
But this is like right on course with everything that Trump has done with any story. Like, as long as he's in the news, he loves it, doesn't matter. But as soon as there's any sort of heat that comes with the news, then he automatically says something or does something that will flip the news. Although this week was kind of out of his control. It was left up to the judicial system to bring the news to us this week and to get our minds off of Omarosa. But yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. If in the short-term memory... If he goes a week without a scandal the week of election, they might not be a blue wave. Like, people have forgot about Omarosa. Nobody is talking, about Trump University. Nobody's mentioned Trump University in 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It is sad. John McCain at this point officially has one foot in the grave and another on a banana peel. And and we've talked about him, the Maverick. 95% of the time he's been a douche, but there have been those moments. And what I love, and they kept playing it in the news today, because it was just announced today, he's taking himself off treatment. He's not going to forego any more treatment. So he honestly,
he's accepting his.
He's got weeks,
destiny.
maybe day, whatever, but it's coming. But they kept playing a clip from a campaign rally that he was having running against Barack Obama. And it was one of those town halls, and a woman says, "I don't trust him because he's an Arab." And this was at the height of the birtherism thing. And if you hear this clip, and John McCain is like, "No, he is a great man. He is a great family man. He is a man of principle. He is an American citizen. I differ greatly on policies." And that's what this campaign is about. But no, ma'am, that is false. Like, he went out of his way to try to squash that birtherism thing.
What a naive idiot.
Right, exactly.
No wonder he lost.
Honestly, who really knew that the race card was such a winner?
Yeah.
Outside of the Deep South.
I know. Well, I mean, McCain, we're also kind of saying like that in that context that even if Obama was an Arab, like that's a bad thing. And it's like, no, it had nothing to do with whether or not he was being called an Arab. It was, and being an Arab would have been a bad thing. It's just like, no, that's not even a fact. Like, that's not even true.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I have to blatantly say, like, no, you can't believe stuff like that.
So who is the happiest GOP person this week? It's got to be Duncan Hunter.
Duncan Hunter, yeah.
Am I saying the name right?
I don't know.
He was the first congressperson to come out and support Blotus when he came down the escalator in June of 2015, was arrested last week on all his frauds and all his crimes. This week, the second congressperson who openly supported Trump early on in his campaign, he was indicted this week for basically using campaign funds as a piggy bank to take family vacations. And here's what's so sick about these fuckers. They have all the emails back and forth. Like, they go to Italy, spend $15,000 of campaign money, and he's an ex-Marine. He calls one of the days on the trip, he calls the local Navy base, the U.S. Navy base, and says, "Oh, I want to come take a tour," to justify the trip, saying, "Oh, I was going to meet the troops and all this." And they're like, "No, we can't do it. We have drills or whatever today." And he went on a fuck the Navy, fuck them type thing. Dude, you know, they're the bad guys because they can't make you be able to write this off. Anyways, other things like he's on a trip and he needs new clothes, and he goes to the golf store at the resort, and in an email back and forth, his wife says, just list this as golf balls for the wounded warriors that you were buying. No, that you were buying gifts for a tournament. Yeah. Like, there was 3 different times in which.
Is this the pet rabbit guy?
Yes, it is the pet rabbit guy. $600 to fly his rabbit on a flight using the campaign money. But there was 3 different times in which, and emails back and forth, buying something obviously for himself or his wife, that they're like, "Oh, we're going to write it off to wounded warriors. We're going to say it was for this."
In my country, Duncan runs on America.
So, why is he the happiest guy? He was just indicted.
He's not in the top third story. Nobody knows.
He gets indicted on Tuesday, the same day Manafort verdict, the same day Cohen pleads guilty. So nobody is talking about this. And yet you hear nothing from Paul Ryan, nothing from Mitch McConnell. The only soundbite I heard this week is Lindsey Graham talking about, after the election, we're going to have to move on from Jeff Sessions. Like, giving the president the green light to. But that's been this fun week and awful. The only other
podcast is over. Sorry, folks.
Last thing I want to.
Oh man.
So I'm watching. The mom-in-law's watching the news the other day, and I never watch the news. And if the boys are in the room, I have to turn it off because it's just. Not that we shield them from anything, but the sensationalism of, like, especially local news. Oh, God. So there's a story that came out on Thursday that Betsy DeVos is greenlighting the education department to pull funds, and I wish I could remember the name of the fund. It's like, for the betterment of student reading or something like that, to take funds from that to arm teachers. To actually arm teachers. She green-lighted them taking money. I mean, my little guy starts school on Tuesday, and we got the list. Here's the supplies you have to bring in. By the way, here's a list of supplies you don't have to bring in, but the classroom desperately needs wet wipes, paper towels, markers. I mean, and of course, how do you not, but we don't have money for dry erase markers in the classroom, but they're pulling funds away to give to guns. Awful, awful, awful. The very next story, David Hogg, the kid,
from
Parkland, he was in Massachusetts. There's been a march going on that ends tomorrow. It's a 50-mile march, a student march from Worcester to Springfield. I didn't know that Smith & Wesson was based in Springfield. Did you?
No, I try not to think of Springfield, Massachusetts that much.
Exactly.
And if I lived in Springfield, I'd probably want to think less about Springfield, Massachusetts.
So they're on a 50-mile walk. So here's the news clip, and they're talking to David, and they're talking to some of these other kid organizers doing the march. And then I paused it, and I hit the 8-second rewind button. I watched it again. I called management from the other room. I'm like, tell me if this is the saddest thing you're going to hear on the news. The story before is Betsy DeVos saying we're taking money out of the school education to buy guns for teachers. The next story is these kids doing this march, a 50-mile march from point A to point B, and the news person's like, for safety reasons, we're not divulging the route that the kids are on, but they get to Springfield on Saturday morning. It's like, so story A, more guns for more people, taking money away from the students. Story B is the students are trying to say, hey, let's keep guns out of school. And they know there's going to be nuts out there who want to shoot children for saying, don't shoot me. Welcome to America.
That sounds like a very lazy episode of The Simpsons. Like that whole segment right there. Oh, God. God help us.
So you want to go back to talking about
Rickety stools
Teen Titans Go?
Please, yeah. Let's go to Six Flags or Canby Lake or Whalen Park. Or quick quiz. What was the name of the park before Six Flags took over?
Riverside.
Yes. You win. You win in this Art of Atari book.
Maybe Riverside is this week's fun sponsor of the week.
Maybe.
We'll give you that feeling, that good, happy feeling.
Riverside Park, the roller coaster capital of New England, featuring the exciting Loop Coaster. Take Mass Pike to Exit 6, Springfield, Massachusetts. Now open weekends.
Riverside Park, Riverside, New England's largest amusement park.
Okay, so as you and I are yapping here, the Patriots are in playing the Carolina Panthers, Game 3 preseason. Don't care.
Right.
Yes, All-Star Tommy, I still don't care. Nobody believes that I still haven't watched a second. I did this week, just in the past day, for about 10 minutes, was listening to sports radio. And usually this time of year, it's only about 10 minutes. I'm not listening to sports radio in the day, and that's because I'm sleeping. But the funny thing is, yeah, I'm pretty good about not paying attention. The Patriots have no wide receivers, none. Like Hogan is their only wide receiver. Like the people that they drafted, and
they have one wide receiver.
They have a few, but like literally only one that Brady has a relationship with. Edelman's not going to be there for 4 games. We got rid of. The thing is, the Patriots knew Edelman was going to be out for the first 4 games, and they still let Amendola go for nothing. Truly, his big payday is like twice what the Patriots were paying, which was almost league minimum. And this is a guy who. He caught, like in the Super Bowl that they won against Atlanta, he was the guy who scored 2 2-point conversions. I mean, that alone, you owe him the paycheck. Anyway, so either way, and then Edelman got hurt last season. Edelman hasn't played football
in a regular season
and over 14 months now, something crazy. I mean, by the time he comes back,
was Donald Trump president when he last played?
Sadly, he was. But the Super Bowl against Atlanta, and then he got hurt like early in the season. Yeah. So he's been gone the whole time. So they've made all these crazy decisions, and now Brady restructured his contract, and people couldn't understand what the holdup is. Then they find out the story broke today. Alex Guerrero is back on the Patriot plane when they travel. Uh-huh. He can't be on the sideline, but they've reinstated his Gillette privileges.
Yep.
and he can run TB12 out of Gillette, and he can travel with the team. He can't be
Guerrero
on the
is his
sideline.
personal trainer,
His guru, his brainwasher,
right.
his personal
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to go with walking version of Scientology.
I just wanted to drop a Depeche Mode line.
Hey, if you're going to drop a Depeche Mode line, that'd be the one to drop.
Is that right? Personal Jesus?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm cool. I'm hip.
Yes,
I'm with it in 1984.
So I'm not. It's like, I have no idea. I truly do not know how they did in game 1, game 2. It's preseason. Why would it matter? Which it would matter to me a great deal a year ago.
So no, it's funny how you flipped.
Flipping shouldn't be legal. Maybe it shouldn't be legal according to Blotus.
Oh, geez. You know what? What's funny though is that I did see a blurb. I don't follow much about sport, but I do see certain stories pop up. But I noticed that the Eagles lost their third preseason game to a team that isn't used to winning a lot of games, preseason or regular season. Talking about the Cleveland Browns. The score 5-0. They were playing football, by the way. So just giving you a heads up that the Browns beat the Eagles in preseason asterisk.
I am not sure.
5-0.
We can look this up. Biff probably knows and is already texting me, though this won't post for another 48 hours. The year that Cleveland went 1-15, or the following year they went 0-16. Think about that. They went 1-31, but one of those 2 years they were 4-0 in preseason. And the same thing. It's like, there's been years that the Patriots have won the Super Bowl or made it to the Super Bowl and were 1-3 or 0-4. I mean, it depends how you look at preseason.
Yep. Yeah, right. Exactly. And it's more about the minutia of the games and the which players are going to make the cut.
Well, that's it.
That's essentially it.
And Belichick has had the luxury, because the division they're in are in such dog shit. He's had the luxury where he uses September as his preseason. He really does. And you look, the amazing thing, Belichick's record and Brady's record in December, like overall, between the two of them, their record, they have like a 750, almost 800 winning percentage. Their winning percentage in November and December is close to 900. It is crazy how much better they play in November and December. And he does. He looks at September as, okay, that's a real preseason. That's where we really work out the kinks. If we can get out of this 2-2, we're fine. 3-1, great, but
their last season in September, they went 3-1.
3-1 with Brady on the sideline.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's it for sport because I'll pay attention after the fourth game, a little bit.
Okay.
I'll read up about it, but I don't have as much enthusiasm because honestly, the draft pick, their first round draft pick is a guy who's a running back, and I don't think you need to burn first round draft picks with running backs. Knee problems all through college. Hey, guess who's been sidelined most of camp with the knee problems? Like, who could have seen this coming other than everyone? like if he was that great, he wouldn't have fallen to the 31st pick, in the first round. So they didn't. They didn't go out and, they didn't bring in any big wide receivers. Edelman's out again. So that you got Gronk and you got Hogan, and hopefully, the Houston Texans and the teams they play the first 4 weeks, are crappy. But that's it. Do you got anything on sport? You've been following cricket?
Not yet.
Okay, good. So what does that bring us to, Joe?
I guess it means it's time for this random video game review of the week, brought to you by Art of Atari, the book that Jacques got me for my. This is actually, I'm going to consider this a pre-birth. I'm going to consider this a birthday gift because this week is my birthday.
Yeah, well,
I have a birthday. Not that anybody should get me anything.
Do you have Atari games?
I do. They're in that little corner in the left. There's like a little shelf down. That's all Atari.
All right.
Oh no.
All right.
We're gonna pull an Atari game out. Whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not gonna know which one you pulled out because I do not look at that corner that much. Just grab any old anything in this shelf here. Anything that includes the chiclets but not the erasers.
I'm going with something.
He's going with something that I think will have great artwork. Okay.
All right.
So you're blowing on the cartridge, and I'm not even going to guess. Berserk. Wow, yes. This is a very fun arcade game and apparently a good Atari game. I have played it a little bit. It's a classic arcade game. It does have pretty boss artwork. It's from This game is 1980. 1980 in the arcades and 82, I think, on Atari 2600. You play a guy who's like a space ranger or something, and you have to go room to room shooting alien robots that are attacking you, and then collecting like the key to get to the next room or something like that. But it's very fast paced. It's a very high energy. It's all about getting the high score. That's really all these games are about, is getting the high score. I was speaking of presents and games and stuff. I was tempted. I'm going to tell you my intention, but then I realized that you're a minimalist and you don't like things. I was tempted to get you,
except boobs.
Right, exactly. No minimalization there. That's a maximist things. And I had some kind of rewards money from Best Buy, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll splurge on something goofy. And I was almost tempted to pick up, but then I tried to imagine you using it, and I'm like, man, he'll like it, the sentiment, but not really the application. One of those mini arcades of a Galaga.
Oh,
those little standalone ones, like those little, tabletop ones are about yay high.
Right.
It was really cool. It's cool, but then I could never. The screen is half the size of your iPhone, and I can't picture you sitting there trying to manipulate that little joystick to
hello.
Yeah, play Galaga for maybe 2 minutes.
Lots of manipulating of the joystick, looking at the phone for sure.
Yeah,
just not with Gallagher.
Hey-oh. But Berserk is a very fun classic game, and I'm sure that it goes for $1 on eBay or two. $4.98 used. Okay, all right.
Well,
right.
What are the chances of finding it new?
Oh God, man!
It's probably $900 if it was new.
Seriously, and the label I have is pretty worn for the wear, but it's hey, maybe we'll play it after the show.
All right, you watch anything this week?
A lot of goofy YouTube stuff. I'm on vacation from work this week and next. I decided to take 2 weeks off to do absolutely fucking nothing. No different than when I'm actually getting paid to do things at work. But I'm not. What am I watching? Nothing big on Netflix. My wife is catching up, and she's kind of resigned herself to the fact that now that her job is going to start up very soon, she's not going to catch up to where she needs to be with the Arrowverse. She's bouncing between Supergirl and Arrow, and I think she's in season 3 or 4 territory of the Arrowverse. But what are they up to, season 7 or 8?
Yeah, they're going into season 7.
Yeah, and then I saw also there's a crossover coming up in December. Did you see this?
Yeah, there's been two major crossovers.
But this one's supposed to potentially introduce Batwoman as a character.
Oh, the one coming up this year.
Yeah, the December one. Yeah, there's a December crossover event, a 3-night, Friday or Sunday night is Flash, Monday night is Arrow, and then Tuesday is Supergirl, and it all kind of makes sense. And I think they're going to introduce Batwoman there. Anyway, what am I watching? My figure. That's about it. Jacques, what are you spending your quality time looking at?
Last night, watched a movie called Big Sick.
Oh, yeah.
On Amazon Prime.
Kumail Nanjiani?
It's great.
Yeah.
And I guess it's his story. I guess it's it's how he met his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving anything away that happens in the preview. He's dating a girl. He's from Pakistan. And his mother is dead set on him marrying a Pakistani girl. And every week he goes to the house and the mother brings over a different single Pakistani woman to, try to pawn her son off on. Yeah. So he falls in love with this, white girl. She gets upset that the parents are trying to do arranged marriage, and he doesn't want to tell the parents that he's dating a white girl, and they break up. And just, days later, something like that, she goes to the hospital. She just has the flu, and it turns into her, going into a coma. And he wants to be kind of by her side. and her parents are like, yeah, we don't want you here. Like the mom didn't want it because the mom's like, yeah, she told me all about the breakup and this and that, and I don't know if she wasn't important enough to you then to meet us. Why would you be here? And Ray Romano's her dad, and he tries to, it's in the same thing. I'm not giving away anything. It's not in the preview. The dad awkwardly, they start talking. He doesn't know how to talk to him. So he's like, so what do you think about 9/11? And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, oh, I've never, and he didn't want to say, be able to talk to a brown, he didn't know how to say, I didn't know how to talk to a brown person or Muslim about this. Like, well, I just never got to talk about, 9/11. And then Camille's like, yeah, it was a tragedy. We lost 19 of our best guys. And it's just silent. It's like, probably shouldn't make 9/11 jokes with you, right? And it's like the look on the part of his face, he didn't know,
Oh, that's what I want to mention. Maybe backtrack.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Big Sick Amazon Prime. I got to watch it. I do have Amazon Prime. I do want to say, and I actually texted you about this, I think over a week ago, when you mentioned it during our sideshow about Mel Brooks, The Last Laugh.
Yes.
I finally I stumbled
you
on
did, yeah.
I was like, but I stumbled on it going, oh, this sounds like something Jacques was rambling about that I was half paying attention to on one of our podcasts. And it was great. You've told our audience, but I'll remind them that there was this documentary that came out a couple of years ago. It's not really, I guess it's kind of a documentary, but it's more of like a topic-mentary. I don't know what you call it, but it's about survivors of the Holocaust and how they dealt with remembering the Holocaust, but then also being able to joke about it, and then the parallel stories of what are the terms in comedy as to what has comedy done in dealing with these tragedies, 9/11, the Holocaust, just mass tragedies, and when is it okay to joke about it? Who's okay to tell the jokes? Is it necessarily across the board funny, and it's really interesting because they show clips of, Auschwitz jokes to an Auschwitz survivor. And, she finds some of it okay and kind of funny, but then there's other things that she's like, that's not funny.
And she herself had the funny story where she's getting a physical at Auschwitz and the doctor tells her, it's like, oh, I think you have like a curvature of spine. I forget what it is that she had. And the doctor's like, after the war, you should probably have this looked at. And she's like, after the war, I don't know if I'm going to make it through lunch.
Yeah, right.
And they joked, and all the women later were joking about why would they bother to give us physicals?
Yeah.
What is the point of this?
The other thing that I thought was interesting was how the documentary looked at the movie Life is Beautiful with Roberto Benigni from '99. Did you see that movie? Because I had.
I did not. I know of it.
Yeah, I saw it, and I it was very touching and moving and stuff, and I quote unquote liked it. I didn't think it was offensive. I didn't think it was on the par of Jerry Lewis's "The Day the Laughter Died" clown leading the kids to the ovens Auschwitz movie. That was
funny. Not many people know Shakes the Clown was a sequel.
But
I'm not a good person.
I know you are not. You are not. But I didn't think it was terrible. They thought that the movie is about the father and son go to a concentration camp. They're Italian Jews who are put in a concentration camp, and the father's trying to make it seem like they're not being led to death or enslavement or encampment. It's more of this is all part of a big game, almost like a reality show. It's just okay, don't worry, this is all part of the game. This German soldier is actually hosting the game, and he's kind of playing along, and not the soldier isn't playing along, but his father is making everything that the soldier says that sounds menacing, actually twisting it to make it look like, oh no, it's really part of a game. And then it obviously gets into the darker issues of concentration camps, but I didn't think it was sacrilegious or unfunny, or I don't know. It was they didn't like it. The American comedians did not like Life is Beautiful. They were David Cross had things to say about the sentiment of the movie, and you not seeing it,
but
can't really
at the same time,
here.
I have things to say about David Cross being in the Alvin and the Chipmunks.
You mean the Auschwitz
Movies.
of Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Exactly.
Of Chipmunk movies? That's actually worse than Auschwitz.
I
think
know,
so.
seriously. But you know,
shit.
but the takeaway from that movie is basically, if you're not Jews, you can't make, these jokes, and it's okay that Mel Brooks plays Hitler and everything.
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, I mean, it's all, like we talk about this all the time, is how comedy is context. It's all about context.
Right.
You know, like you and I can't tell Chris Rock jokes. And certain
Not if we want to keep our teeth where they are.
oh yeah, we can. Yeah, it's not like a free
I have a First Amendment right.
right. Yeah, it's our free speech, man.
To say these things and get the living shit kicked out of me.
Exactly.
And rightfully so.
Right. You know, everybody has their rights.
I would like to have an out-of-body experience so that I can kick the shit out of me if I use those,
Yeah, you tell those jokes. So it was. Check it out. That's on Netflix. Laugh out. The last laugh. It was from 2016. It's something that I think I'm glad that I stumbled upon, so that I can personally recommend it. Not so much you.
Fantastic. Parenting tip of the week, Joseph. You got a family event coming up Sunday.
We do.
Aren't you going to Connecticut?
No. A week from Saturday. 2 weeks from Saturday. Yeah, right. So in about 2 weeks, we're going to Retro World Expo, September 8th.
So right now you're not doing anything.
No. Right now I'm not parenting. And then even then, like they're driving. Like I'm not. I'm not even. Yeah, I'm going to be texting the whole time.
I don't believe texting me probably.
Yes. Why aren't you here?
So my parenting tip. So there's a balancing act. I don't know if our good friend John is listening, but John always has these stories at F&H growing up, how there was a kid who played on all his hockey teams and his dad always coached, and every year at the award ceremony, his father would tear up when he gave the MVP trophy to my son, Tommy. And every year it was the same thing, and my son, Tommy, has become, a running gag with us for 25 years now. With that in the back of my mind and all bad sport parenting, I've never pushed the boys into sports. And when I do, I want to take a very hands-off approach. Not in an uninterested way, but when I take them to jiu-jitsu, I don't stand on the side of the mat yelling things out. When the little guy was playing baseball, I wasn't, he has coaches to tell him what to do. When I was working with him in hockey, it was different. I'm on the ice running the drills and stuff like that. And it was fun. I mean, it was a learn to skate, thing the last year that he did. I have no desire to get involved in sports in that way. Like, I will buy them all the gear they need. I will drive them everywhere if they want to work on things at the house, but I'm very realistic about their aptitude for sports. Like, they're not driven. They're not uber competitive in this. It's not their thing. So I'm not going to force it on them. I want them to be healthy and active and be able to, at recess, be able to play kickball and know what base to run to. But I'm 5'7", their mom's Korean. And unless you're wired insanely like a Julian Edelman.
Well, at least you have the idea that if they're not going to be good at sports, at least teach them jujitsu so they can defend themselves when someone tries to kick their ass for not being good at sports.
Thank you. But anyways, they've been playing flag football for like the past 6 weeks. And, like with everything else, the little one is just good at things. Not great. He doesn't stand out. But when you look down on the field, it's not obvious that, he's in the middle of the pack. And for somebody who's never played, pretty good. The older one doesn't, is less sports driven. And it wasn't really his thing, but he went, he tried. And this is a learn the game type thing. There's no scorekeeping. It's very, it's the first week. It was nothing but running some drills and just being outside for 2 hours and moving around. And now the way it works is it's an hour of running drills with your team. They break them up into, different teams. And I hate the fact that, the oldest one is on the Broncos and he has a Bronco jersey because it's not the Patriots, and so anyways, so he's been liking it, but it is one kid, this kid who's much shorter than him, he's like 10, should truly be playing with the 15-year-olds. I mean, this kid is special. He is awesome. The problem is It's like, it's not, he played quarterback every single snap, every single play. Even when they're doing the drills and there's 10 kids and they line 5 up on one side, 5 on the other, and kid on the left goes and runs a pattern and gets a pass, goes to the back of the line on the other side, and then the next side goes. So if you're one of the receivers, you're catching the ball 1 out of every 10 plays. This kid is throwing the ball 10 out of every 10 plays. And when it's been that way the entire 6-week thing, it's like, how is anybody else going to get better if only one person does this? And it's the same thing. It's like half the time he'll throw the ball, half the time he'll scramble the entire thing for a touchdown. It's like, good for him, and this kid's probably going to play high school football. My kid is not. I can tell you right now, he's not. Even if he was good, would I let him play high school football? But it's at the same time, there's only 2 or 3 kids who do anything. And so this week he finally said something to me. It's like, hey, this isn't fun. Just standing here watching this kid. I want to be, more active. And again, not to ever be the my son Tommy thing, but I tried to talk with the coach and he was being very dismissive about it. And so then I was me. And anybody who knows me, like the Barefoot stuff, then the absolute poke the bear, passive aggressive, heckler came out. And I'm standing on the side and there was like 4 plays in a row where, he's more alone than I was on prom night and the kid, whatever it is. And I'm like, so I start making like little comments. I'm like, Grayson, oh, sorry, I can say his name, but I'm like, no, he has to be the only one to throw the ball because look around, look at all the college scouts up there waiting to sign him as soon as he gets off the field. You're just here to help him look better. So, maybe block or something, but we're all here for him. And the coach is like, do you have a problem? I'm like, yes, I have a problem. I talked to you about it. You dismissed it. This is the way it is. He goes, I'm like, I've been here for like the last 3 weeks. He hasn't had the ball thrown to him 1 time in a game. Now, granted, he's probably going to drop it.
Yep.
I know it. He knows it. And I was honest with the coach. And I said that. I said, he's not good, but he's here and he's trying. And he will not get better unless he gets the ball thrown to him. He won't get better throwing the ball unless he gets a chance to throw the ball. So parenting tip of the week is, don't be the overbearing parent telling the coach that your kid is the greatest and he should be the one playing quarterback all the time when he doesn't have any aptitude to it. At the same time, it's like, don't let your kid get like, run rickshaw. Sorry, Biff. Because
is that even the word?
I don't think so. Are you looking it up now? Is it even worth looking it up?
Yes,
should I use another term? Wait. Is it racist or is it really racist what I just said? It's not like I'm putting a little rickshaw in a box of cereal and selling it to kids and making commercials with it.
Oh, you're right. Running rickshaw is a term. All right.
Oh, yeah, no. Now, again, is it a socially acceptable term in 2018?
No. Well, in certain markets.
So, how presidential of me. Mm-hmm. So we're going to end this. I'm going to start plugging this for the next couple weeks. Anybody in the greater New England area, Dan Cray.
Only the greatest of New England areas.
Dan Cray and Beyond Id. Actually,
You're beyond it.
We're still hoping that I'm really hoping that my friend John Hunt can come up from who you met. And I just got a text and contact with for the first time since I moved to LA 25 years ago, our bass player Sean.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, I heard you guys have a show and I'd like to play. And Dan had a text and with the two of them, it's like, hey, Sean wants to play. Fuck yeah. And and I put it out flat out there. It's like, Dan has no ass. Sean has an ass. When I'm sitting back and playing drums, like, I'm tired of looking at Dan's flat Irish ass.
Yeah, you want some depth.
I do, really. So Sean's going to join us.
My eyes are hungry for some candy.
And I'm very excited. Playing Ralph's with our friend Dave Marabella's band, The Rationales. We go on at 8. They go on at 9, June 21st at Ralph's in Worcester.
Wait, what? What?
I'm sorry, September 21st.
Okay,
September 21st.
I didn't know if I had to go forward in time or backward.
Got to go back in time. Now that song's in my head. I don't like you.
I never thought I'd hear you sing that song. Jesus Christ. I didn't know you knew that song existed.
Dude. you sweat it out. Like when beat the sweat come out of your arms.
I'm pitting back in time right about now.
But we so I want to end the next couple of shows on songs that we're going to play that night, and this one is called Three Sheets. Lyrically, like the best part about the band is lyrically. Like listen to it a couple times. Dan is ironically, hysterically dark and funny.
As usual. And he's a good follow on YouTube.
A couple the last note on this, most of our songs are about like his sexual inadequacies or awful things that I've said that he's turned into phrases or just
like Run Rickshaw.
Thank you. That will be a next single. A couple of the songs are about like intimate things with his now wife when he was lusting after her in college, and I said to him, because his daughter's like early teens, and I'm like, at what point are you going to have is she going to have an issue with like, hey, that's my mom you're talking about? And he goes, yeah, we'll have that conversation right after a teenage girl gives a shit about her father's music. I'm like, well played, Dan.
Yep.
Well played.
Got away with words. What a wordsmith. So, yeah, we're going to take it out on that. What does that mean to play us out? I don't know. Fuck it, we'll do it live. And more importantly, Jacques, don't forget.
Sell 3 sheets to the world. On a boat I built with rubber bands and popsicle sticks, and the whole thing floats askew. It's the best that I can.